From November 14th to 21st, we're inviting you to join us for a powerful trip to Ghana. This isn't just a vacation. This is a chance to walk through the same places where many of our people were captured, held, and shipped off into slavery. So don't wait. Secure your spot today. We're making history by walking through it. Will you be with us?
Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
At African Diaspora News Channel, we cover stories that don't receive mainstream attention, and we serve as the voice to the global Black community. We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media, connecting the African diaspora one story at a time.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure as you come in, giving us a big thumbs up, and share the broadcast. That way other folks will know that we are here. And for that, we say thank you so very much. Family. I have got some very, very interesting news here. Family, first of all, I know you all certainly have heard by now about the outrageousness of Trump granting white South Africans, listen, refugee status here in the United States of America. Of course, we've known the drama for some time now. Now, I've got to say there was a reason for years. Me, your sister with the curly braids, this girl originally from Mississippi that lives now in Colorado in the wild west in the United States. I know y'all were like, what is Vicki doing covering South Africa? Why is she talking about these little seemingly secretive little House Foreign Affairs meetings and stuff? And why is she sounding the alarm about all of these little secret attacks? Because before this situation took place, South Africa was a target for the United States global geopolitical agenda. And they were using nefarious reasons to find ways to disrupt your economy. Watch this. One of the issues that I kept driving to you all is what's driving them for attacking South Africa years ago was because of its rise in BRICS, because of its connection to the new economic, political, and social world order. Talk black to me, somebody. And even though some of you all were talking about the obvious issues with South Africa's economy and so forth and so on, I knew that the United States government and her other Western allies were making mischief there in order to bring division and in order to disrupt the BRICS alliance. Are y'all hear me today? And boy, was I right. Tell the truth and shame the devil. Where's my gavel? With that being said, how many of you all remember my coverage that I did here a couple months ago on me sounding the alarm about the fact that Armenian immigrants were getting $100,000 reparations write-offs because of a war that they had with Turkey almost 100 years ago? Now that's Kim Kardashian, them people, the Armenians. In current day, I proved to you all in no limited time that to this day, they were getting reparations write-offs. And some sources say they were double dipping to where they don't even have to report all their income from their other country. But in the United States of America, we're sitting up here giving them IRS write-offs, tax write-offs. Shout out to the FBA Black tax preparer that gave me that information. Why did that lady comment that? Why was I giving other information about this? Because of my coverage on who? Ukraine. What have I been covering for the past couple of years here on African Diaspora News Channel and other platforms? I've done several broadcasts on this. What was it? Didn't I tell you all that SSI had a certain provision to where Ukrainians were able to get what? A form of Social Security? How many of y'all been seeing that back-to-back coverage? Most recently, I was talking about the fact that tens of thousands of Americans opened up their homes so that some of these Ukrainians could qualify in order to get these benefits. Well, guess who's the latest? Guess what's happening in the latest? A line of injustices of folks, foreigners, that's getting benefits that foundational Black Americans don't get. Can the team put up the first article here? This article here that I want to just give you the background on before I go further. From CNN is entitled White South Africans Granted Refugee Status by Trump Administration Arrive in U.S. So y'all know about this, right? Shout out to Brother Phil. Shout out to my other colleagues that's been doing coverage here on that as well. But baby, we got to continue to sound the alarm. Talk Black to me, somebody. Everybody be sure to hit that thumbs up button, share. I don't know how many people may or may not have received notification. Now, I want to read from this article, family, White South Africans Granted Refugee Status by Trump Administration Arrive in U.S., because I want you to just have a little bit of background. What does it say here? Yes? It says a flight carrying a group of 59 white South Africans granted refugee status by the Trump administration arrived in the United States on Monday. They were the first people to be granted refugee status by the Trump administration and are not expected to be the last Afrikaners to come to the U.S. The South Africans, including children, were greeted upon their arrival in Washington Dulles International Airport in Virginia by U.S., y'all listening, U.S. Deputy Secretary of State Christopher Lando and the Department of Homeland Security Deputy Secretary Troy Edgar. The Trump administration has moved to not only admit, but to expedite, pay attention, Black family, but to expedite the processing of Afrikaners as refugees for alleged discrimination. At the same time, are y'all listening? It has suspended all other refugee settlement, including for people fleeing war and famine. So the legit people that should be able to qualify to come to the country for war and famine, Trump suspended that for the white South Africans. Yes, it goes further. The policy of exempting only white South Africans from the indefinite pause has drawn criticism from the South African government and from refugee advocates. I'm going to say that again. The policy of exempting only white South Africans from the indefinite pause. From the indefinite pause. Where are my intelligent Black people at? Where are my intelligent white people that might be watching? Because I know that's some of y'all too. Some of y'all peeping this game. Some of y'all listen to us. What does it say? The indefinite pause has drawn criticism from the South African government and from refugee advocates. Watch this. What are most people missing, though? I'm going to skip through this. I went all the way down where it's talking about President Ramaphosa. It says, asked about Ramaphosa's comments where Ramaphosa is going off and criticizing the Trump administration. Landu says it's not surprising, unfortunately, that a country from which refugees come does not concede that they are refugees. Y'all see how they playing right in our faces? Foundational Black Americans. Vicki, where are you going with this? I'm going with this where most people don't go with this. Can the team please put up this next article, not an article, but link. Look at this link, family. A general search link, an overview that can be found in this AI. Watch what it says. Are y'all listening? Y'all ain't ready. Talk Black to me, somebody. Everybody hit that thumbs up button, share. This is so important. Okay, watch this. Watch this. It says here, yes, South African refugees arriving in the U.S. are eligible for certain federal benefits and services, primarily through the Office of Refugee Settlement. I call it ORR. So whenever you hear me say ORR, that references what? The Office of Refugee Resettlement, right, family? Of the Administration for Children and Families, which is the ACF. These benefits include, y'all ready? Cash assistance. It goes further, which I'm not going to threes because I'm gonna probably do another part. Y'all know how I do. Y'all, look, the infractions against us are so egregious, baby. It takes more than 1 or 2 broadcasts. But Vicki, keep going. It talks about the refugee cash assistance. That's the RCA, right? It says refugees are eligible for RCA, which provides cash assistance. Watch this. They help with basic needs like food, shelter, and transportation. Foundational Black Americans, are y'all listening to this crap? The duration of RCA can vary depending on the individual circumstances and eligibility for other federal benefits. For states like Washington also offer RCA programs. Guess what else they qualify for? Refugee medical assistance. Skip. Other benefits and services or also provide support for case management services, English as a foreign language, which is EFL, classes, and job readiness and employment services. What about foundational Black Americans? What about Black folks that have records and stuff that don't get all these benefits? Watch this, y'all. These services are designed to help refugees become self-sufficient and integrate into the U.S. society. Number 4, eligibility considerations. It talks about those eligibility consideration benefits is based on immigration status, employment status, and income. In addition, y'all, to state-specific laws and regulations. Refugees who are not eligible for federal cash, watch this, assistance programs like TANF. Wait for my part 2 on that. Or SSI. Y'all see how this is real? May be eligible for RCA. It goes on to talk about how number 5, pathways to citizenship. It talks about how South African refugees who are granted refugee status are on have a pathway to U.S. citizenship. Skip all that, right? Let's go to the 3rd article, please. Oh yeah, y'all know I ain't playing with you. I got something else beside this, but like I said, the next one I'm gonna do is gonna be part 2. But let me just whet your appetite with this one because this is outrageous. The 3rd one is from the acft.gov. This is straight from the United States government website. Yes, which is what? The Office of Refugee Settlement. That's all that I referred to earlier, right? This last link. This last article says Office of Refugee Resettlement benefits for refugee. These are fact sheets. Family, when you read through this, and you got to read through and see the fine lines, because this is how they try to trick you all. They know we're going to be ticked off if we find out that in addition to all these benefits that I just mentioned, including SSI, shelter, transportation, jobs, medical assistance, and all that other stuff, family, you got to read through. If you see all these other benefits, it says, are you eligible for grant refugee status to enter the United States? Scroll, this entire thing. When you go all the way down, family, there's a section here that talks about how, I believe it's the very last section, it says specialized programs. Some clients may be eligible for specialized programs such as health services, technical assistance for small business startups, financial savings, youth mentoring, or other targeted support programs. Why did I say I'm gonna do part 2? How many of y'all know I don't play with my receipts? But when it talks about here, programs for small business startups, that's all I needed for now, team. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for posting that. The small business startups, family, do you know what that is about? Guess what comes with small business startup, family? If you know anything about the United States of America, there are all kinds of also tax write-offs and benefits that they get when they help them with those tax, they small businesses. Now, when you go to the IRS website, which is too much to get into today, because that's already 3 links. I'm going to save this for my part 2 when I talk about the TANF stuff. Watch this. How many of you all remember when I broke down the Armenians getting reparations? And even some of the Ukrainians, there's a section based on certain treaties that we have, but also a refugee section that the IRS complies with, where they get specific tax write-offs. That's a similar section in the IRS link where the Armenians were able to write off up to $100,000 in the United States. Now, let me ask you all something. And shout out again to Brother Phil and our dear sister. Hold on, I wanted to get the link here. I think Renelwe, hers was about what? White South Africans are the world's most dangerous races. Even their European cousins hate them. So black to me, sis. Let me hit the gavel on that title. I want y'all to check out my sister. She's straight from South Africa on that. And I'm looking forward to watching all of those too. But I want to give you all some other references here because we're trying to show you in no limit of time. This is outrageous. Watch this. Why am I bringing that up? Because Trump gave them this specific refugee status. Family, Social Security, a program that they're not paying into. How are we here in the United States of America paying into an SSI program, SSA program, and these folks just get to come over here and get it? Housing, as I showed you, transportation, right? Cash. Somebody say cash. Somebody put some dollar signs in the chat. Somebody put some money in the chat. Somebody put some credit cards in the chat. But small business startups. And then there's even evidence that they're going to be able to get tax write-offs. Now, let me ask you something. I brought up Brother Phil and my sister Renelle Wade's stuff because I thought we were supposed to be about America first. Somebody say America first. And Trump suspended some of the other more legitimate immigration status programs to expedite these white South Africans, even over us, y'all. Now, how in the world are we sitting up here accepting this United States government from both the Republicans and Democrats, telling us what they can't do for us, playing with us with reparation studies, saying even if they're talking about legit reparations bills, how many of you all know that these folks are getting immediate cash, housing, transportation, business startups, and tax write-offs? That is an immediate impact on their lives. That for foundational Black Americans, even if you don't call that reparations, if we have that particular status or we get those particular considerations just with the IRS alone, how many of y'all know that sounds like reparations to me? This is a shame. This is disgusting. This is absolutely outrageous. And I'm going to ask you all, what we going to do about it? Where's your Congressional Black Caucus? Where are all of your white Congress folks, your Black Congress folks? Where's your AAPI folks? Where's your Hispanic Caucus folks? These are things that your government can do for you now. Did you all know that when the Armenians were first officially calling for Congress to pass an all-out legislation for their reparations, they ran into some delays. So they came up, Congress did, with a slick thing to work with the IRS to get write-offs for $100,000 a year. You got Ukrainians over here, legit nationalist Nazi Ukrainians that get housing, get Americans to give them housing so that they can immediately qualify for Social Security. So they getting checks immediately, a lot of them. And as I told you before, because of my coverage on this stuff, insiders have been contacting me, telling me, Vicki, because of your program, they said you're not only correct. They said that you're not only correct about your coverage, they told me they work in the office of SSI, and that's when they told me back then that they were expected to expedite the Ukrainians' files over everybody else's. I'm not even going to hold you long because I'm looking forward to do another part of this. But they qualify for TANF family, SNAP benefits. They get food stamps, housing. We don't know these people from a can of paint. But we do know South Africans on the ground, like our sister here, Nara explained to us, some of these folks are some of the worst races out there. And Trump is allowing these folks to come over here. I want to know, how are we going to mobilize on the ground to where we can expedite our issues when they sit here playing in our faces, telling us how long it's going to take and how y'all going to prove your lineage and how you going to prove you really Black. And what if this person over here try to claim this status? Baby, they're not doing all these for these folks. And this is something that both your Congress folks, both Democrats and Republicans knew about, that the IRS has been getting some of these folks, all these write-offs like the Armenians all this time, and we didn't know nothing about it. And our FBA tax preparer is the one who sounded the alarm on the other stuff when she saw my coverage here on the Ukrainians, where she sounded the alarm that they're getting all these benefits. And how many of y'all know that reparations that the Armenians are getting, for example, do y'all know that's for a war almost from 100 years ago that they had with Turkey? They're making us look like turkeys, getting current write-offs for a war from 100 years ago in America for something that ain't got nothing to do with us. So I'm advising that we mobilize and that we stop playing these games by cooperating with these delay tactics that everybody is putting in front of us. I got to go right now, fam. I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this. I just want you all to know, though, I do have an upcoming free event this Saturday where I'm going to be talking about the new Pope. How many of y'all heard about the fact that folks are saying that he's got Creole lineage? I'm not going to be discussing that, but I am going to be talking about why it is that Trump came out talking about he wants to be Pope. And I'm going to be giving you other secrets about the ancient Black connections to the original Vatican. I'm going to be talking about that and so much more. You do not want to miss it. I promise you, your life will never be the same. I'm going to be talking about the ancient temples, including the sacred temple there, even in Jerusalem, and its connection to different nations and different religions, baby. That's the stuff we got to talk about offline. Go to my website to get your seat today at VickiPlanet.com. I'm going to talk later, see if we can pin that link there on my website that you can register later on. I'm going to talk to the team about that. But go to my website in the meantime at VickiPlanet.com. Is this Sunday? I think I said Saturday. This Sunday, May 18th, 2 p.m. Eastern, is absolutely free, no obligation. Your life will never be the same. There's the very forces that's behind expediting these folks. And what's really behind this, what's really going on, you don't want to miss what they're really working on, the globalists are working on. Yes, I can't wait to see you again.